Good evening, First Baptist family and friends. If you are watching, do let us know who you are, where you are from. Don't be shy tonight. We want to see you chatting. So please let us know where you watching from. And you definitely want to stay tuned. As you guys come in, please do me a favor and just share this. You have come into the building, our virtual building. Please share this, share this. And when you share it, just type in the comments, share, just so I can acknowledge and thank you for sharing. Want to acknowledge and thank you for sharing. I'm gonna give you guys one more minute because I know you just taking a minute to share. So I'm just give you one more minute to do so. And again, you can comment. Okay. Rashina, thank you for watching. Please share. Please share.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I got a couple more seconds, but you can share all evening long. Share. Thank you, Rashina.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Let me show you guys that I'm sharing it. See,
I just shared it too.
it
So
just takes the click of a button. So I just want to show how easy it is, right? You see share and you just boom. All right. So hopefully you guys shared. We have some people coming in. Thank you, Brenda, for joining us. Thank you so much. Um, Look, I don't want to hold you guys. I want to get into this conversation. If you do not know, I'm K1 McKnight, Director of Worship and Arts here at First Baptist Church of Vienna, and we have two very distinguished guests. I'm going to introduce one of them, and that is our Minister Christian. Vaughn, how are you? That's my boy Vaughn. He said he was coming, so thank you. He has questions, and hopefully he's not shy. He will stay on for the rest of the evening. Again, Minister Christian is with us. She is just such a delight as a person. Let me tell you guys, she's just a person you definitely want to be around. And I'm going to read a little bit of her bio, just a little bit. She says she needs no introduction. All right, so read a little bit about her. All right, so Christian Brown is a faith-driven millennial native of Birmingham, Alabama, and a graduate of Howard University. And I know a lot of HU graduates, so y'all shout her out in the comments. She received her bachelor's of science in nursing, and she is currently a registered nurse and graduate of Wesley Theological Seminary, where she got a master's of divinity. I'm just going to go through a couple things. Through various desires to reach many communities outside of the four walls of church, where we all should be, she founded a scholarship in her hometown for seniors called Shine, hosted many programs and conferences of holistic awareness, and she is the owner, ladies and gentlemen, the owner of Rise Enterprises LLC, a certified life coach, and an author of the daily devotional book entitled Rise and Shine. What a title. She currently serves as the youth minister of Mount Moriah Baptist Church, where she is also licensed to preach the gospel. Her motto is the greatest gift of life is the gift of giving, and she challenges others daily to pay it forward with a smile, a warm heart, and a purpose-driven life. Guys, if you can just light up this Facebook with hearts and likes for Minister Christian, I'm going to let them lead the way into this conversation, and y'all see me in the comments.
Thank you. And can we please give a round of applause for Brother K1, who is just simply amazing. I just want to shout out First Baptist Church of Vienna, who is hosting this millennial-led series for all generations. So if you are watching right now, I want you to go ahead and spread the love of Christ by liking this video and also sharing it. Because as we're talking about faith, social justice, and securing the vote, I know there is somebody out there that needs to hear what the Shante Brown has to say tonight. So I want you to go ahead, share the video, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So today, our guest for our Millennial Series is Shante Brown. Shante is also a native of Birmingham, Alabama. She is a wife, mother, and a devoted member of the New Life Interfaith Ministries in Bessemer, Alabama. Praise the Lord. She attended the University of Alabama, where she double majored in criminal justice and political science. She is smart. She was the president of the Criminal Justice Honor Society and received the Criminal Justice Chairperson's Award of Merit. Also, while attending the University of Alabama, she became a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Has one now. Shante is a former public defender and currently serves as a prosecutor. She prosecutes a range of criminal cases from misdemeanors to capital murder. She keeps our streets safe. Shante Brown is truly passionate about the criminal justice system and voting rights. Very important. Her passion has led her to launch The Lowdown with Shante Brown, which is a show that airs every Thursday at 8 p.m. on Facebook. So you can head on over to her channel after this. And the show focuses on political and community issues at the local, state, and national level. Shante understands that knowledge is power, and every episode of her show is geared towards providing knowledge about the criminal justice system and the three branches of government in order to empower people to exercise their right to vote. Welcome, Shante Brown, to our segment today. Yes, it's an honor to have you here. I want us to just go ahead and get started. So I want you to talk about The Lowdown with Shante Brown. If you all have not followed her Facebook page, her Instagram, you are missing out on so much information. So walk us through what that is, what you do, and then share with us some of your passions about the criminal justice system and voting.
Okay, thank you so much, Christian, for introducing me. And I want to thank First Baptist Church of Vienna for having this event this night. I think it's so important. As Christian said, I work in the criminal justice system. I used to be a criminal defense attorney, and now I am a prosecutor, and I see so much that goes on in our criminal justice system and how it's tied to voting. And a lot of times I would just talk about these important topics with just my circle, and I realized that if I am to be a true servant, I have to go beyond just my circle, and I have to reach as many people as possible. So that's how the Lowdown with Shante Brown came about, because I wanted to create a platform where I can inform as many people as possible, and then they can take that information and make informed decisions at the polls.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And as I stated earlier, it airs every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So what are some things that The Lowdown of Shante Brown is very passionate about? Is there anything that you kind of want to educate the audience on today before we get into our Q&A?
Most definitely. I want to talk about, I know a lot of Black people, people of color, we see a lot of things going on the streets, such as the Breonna Taylor case. A lot of people did not understand, why she didn't receive justice. Well, that case, and like many other cases, are linked directly to voting, because it's an elected official that's in charge of that case. Attorney General Daniel Cameron, who was in charge of prosecuting that case, he's an elected official. So it's us, we the people, that put these people in position to govern us, to lead us, to make decisions that will affect us sometimes for the remainder of our lives. For example, you have judges, federal judges and Supreme Court justices. They have life-term appointments, which means they can serve literally until they die. And the decisions that they make, sometimes more likely than not, can influence our livelihood. If you think about, for example, Black people, we once were not even considered citizens, and that is because of a Supreme Court decision. Think about separate but equal. When you had the Jim Crow eras, when we had to go to separate facilities, when we had to drink from separate water fountains, that was the law of the land because of the Supreme Court. So you think about, although the Supreme Court directly, we don't vote for them, but we vote for the president and senators who appoint and confirm Supreme Court justices. So all these people that lead us, that govern us, that make decisions that will affect our livelihood are elected officials. So important, it's just so important to vote. I can't stress it enough. If you give me any type of topic, I can tie it to voting. Any type of issue that you care about, I can tie it to voting. When you think about sentence disparities, how you may see a person of color, a Black person, get sentenced to a much longer, harsher prison sentence than a white person, is linked to a judge. Going back to the Breonna Taylor case, it was a judge that even signed off on the search warrant that gave the police officers the right to kick in her door in the wee hours of the morning. Had the judge actually took the time to look at it, she would have saw that the facts did not arise to probable cause to even sign off on the search warrant, but she didn't do it. She's an elected official. I tell everybody, if you are passionate about what's going on in the Black community, if you're protesting is not enough. Going and marching on the street is not enough. You have to finish what you started, and you finish it at the polls.
That is good. And I love how you are setting this foundation for the viewers who are watching to see that this November 3rd election is not just about electing another president. Right. It's about, other offices. In fact, I was watching the election, the debate yesterday, and it was talking about how President Trump has elected all of these judges throughout the world. And so what are some other offices and some other things that will come out of this election other than a presidential candidate? Yeah.
Right. So, for example, certain senators are up for election. You have Mitch McConnell, for example. Mitch McConnell is the longest serving senator right now, and he's in the state of Kentucky. And that's important because the state of Kentucky is where Breonna Taylor died. And he's connected to the Attorney General, Daniel Cameron. And this man, he deliberately stopped Barack Obama from being able to appoint a Supreme Court justice when Barack Obama was in office, because Justice Scalia died. So just as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she died, and Trump is trying to replace her. Well, when Obama was the president in 2016, when he was the president, Justice Scalia died. But when the only difference is we had a Democrat president, but we had a Republican-led Senate. And the Senate, a lot of people try to say, well, Obama, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, because he couldn't. The Senate stopped him from doing a lot of things. So here we have Mitch McConnell, who was the very person that stopped Barack Obama from filling that seat. He's up for re-election on November 3rd. So the state of Kentucky has a job to do. They are protesting about Breonna Taylor, but those same people need to go to the polls and vote Mitch McConnell out. You have here in the state of Alabama, we have Senator Doug Jones. For the longest, the state of Alabama is known as a red state. We had 2 Republican senators, but we finally have a Democrat, Doug Jones, who not only prosecuted the Ku Klux Klan for bombing the 16th Street Baptist Church, he was a federal prosecutor and he prosecuted those people, but we have Doug Jones in the Senate who voted to impeach Trump. But of course, he wasn't impeached because the Senate did not impeach him because they are Republican-led. Wow. So at the polls on November 3rd, we're voting for senators. It's some judges that will be up for the election. It's the president here in Jefferson County. I know one of my sorors, she's running for judge. She'll be on the ballot on November 3rd. So, it's a lot at stake every single election. It's not just doing the presidency, the president year. Every time you have a chance to vote, whether it's city council, your mayor, your Jefferson County commissioner, judges, every time you have a chance to vote, you need to, because those people are governing you. They are making decisions on your behalf. So you need to vote to see who is going to be making those decisions that is going to affect my life, my child's life, and possibly my child's child. Like I said, the decisions they make can last a lifetime. You got to think about it. The Civil Rights Act that was passed back in 1965, 1964, and that has lasted us, thank God, for all this time. So we have to think about the legislation that these senators, that these House representatives that they're passing, it can last us for a lifetime.
That is really, really good. Even with the Supreme Court justice, that is a lifetime.
Position. Yes, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died when she was 87, and she was serving.
Wow. Now I know there's some people, even with you talking about the Senate and governors and that this election is more than a presidential election, there's still some people who are watching. And if you're that person, it's okay. But we're gonna be okay today. There's people who are watching who probably have not voted since Barack Obama, who probably feel like the justice system have failed us. My vote really doesn't matter. It's going to be rigged. How can you convince them to get out and to still utilize the power that they have?
Well, I think the problem is, Barack Obama, we voted for him in 2008, but a lot of us go back to the polls in 2010 when it was time to vote for senators. Which is why, like I said, Barack Obama couldn't do half the things that he wanted to do because he didn't have a Democratic or and sometimes you don't even have to be Democrat versus Republican, just people that will represent us fairly, no matter who's watching. So I know a lot of times we may feel hopeless. We may feel like, what's the point? My vote doesn't matter. Nothing is changing around me. But how will you know if you don't vote? And we see if you look around what's going on with the country right now, if you didn't vote 4 years ago, this is the example of why it's so important to vote. I mean, just look at the state of our country. Just think if more people had voted, we would not have this Trump administration. And it's just so much that go, even this year alone, the pandemic, his failure to act, the fact that he lied, the fact that he downplayed it, the fact that he told people not to wear masks because of political reasons, because his supporters didn't want to wear masks. So instead of telling the country to wear masks, he didn't because his supporters didn't want to wear masks. So if you have people that say, I haven't voted since Obama, well, look around you and you will see the results of not voting. We have the Trump administration.
That's really good. Although we may, because we have Kamala, she's a person of color, but what we have to see is more than color. Like I have friends who are Hispanic who are suffering. I have people, different races, different cities. Like this has really unified us. And we're struggling together. I'm very curious about the criminal justice system. And you seeing both sides as a criminal defense attorney and also as a prosecutor. Can you talk about the hope that we should have in the criminal justice system? Because some people, they see the Breonna Taylor, they see the George Floyd, and they're like, okay, we will never get justice. But what is your view with being on both sides? Like how are we still supposed to have faith in the system right now?
The criminal justice system works as long as we have like-minded people that actually believe in the criminal justice system and do not have biases. They do not have these preconceived notions of what people look like and how they are going to act based on what they look like. As a criminal defense attorney, I represented people from all walks of life. I had people from, I don't know if people are familiar with the Alabama area, but I had people from the inner city of Birmingham versus I represented people from over the Mountain Brook, Hoover. I represented all people from all walks of life. As a prosecutor, I prosecute people from all walks of life. So I don't want people to think it's just this, it's only Black people committing crime or it's only this certain people committing crime. No, it's the criminal justice system affects everyone. So although, we see it as, police brutality and the things that are going against us, and that's how it's affecting us. But really, with my experience being a defense attorney and a prosecutor now, the criminal justice system literally affects everyone. And I have hope in the criminal justice system because I truly see it actually works when you have people that is actually fair. We have some really great judges in Jefferson County, really great public defenders, really great prosecutors who are fair, who are honest, who are ethical, that is going to fight for you. As a public defender, I fought for people that look like me. I don't care how much money you make or how much the how low money you make, I'm going to represent you and I'm going to fight for you. Now, as a prosecutor, I can fight for people that look like me when they are a victim. I can demand that the detectives go out and do your job and you make sure that we get justice for this family. So it's important. A lot of times I see Black people, they don't necessarily, they say like, oh, you're a cop, or, oh, you're a prosecutor, like, oh, you're against us. But it is just as important to have people of color, Black people, as prosecutors, as law enforcement, because we are the people that can hold people accountable and make sure that they're doing their job to get us justice. Now, unfortunately, with the Daniel Cameron case, with the Breonna Taylor case, Daniel Cameron, he's Black, but at the same time, he's a Republican. Not saying Republicans are, but we have to look at his end goal. What is he trying to do? He's not trying to piss off the Republican Party, So I just think it's important to have us on both sides of justice. We can't just be defense attorneys. We need Black people in the prisons to look out for us. We need Black people as prosecutors. Black people as judges, we need Black people as police officers. We have to get involved.
That's really, really good.
I see a question.
Yes, I do see a question. And also, if you're watching, there was a Connect card link that was placed in the comment section. If you want to learn more about the church, if you want to get connected in their Millennial in Faith group, I want you to fill out that Connect card. So we are going to take some questions from the audience. The question just left me. Here it is. Thank you so much. Why isn't the election centered around just the president? If it's now being told that it's just as important to vote for senators. So why are we just finding this information out?
You just have to stay informed. And that's the whole reason why I started the Lowdown with Shantae Brown, so I can inform people, because a lot of times the presidents, they're going to have more money. So the presidential campaign, so they're going to have more money to do ads and do commercials, and that's what all the news is going to talk about. But the smaller races, the smaller senator races, the smaller judge races, they don't have as much limelight. The media is not going to cover them, especially not during a presidential election. So we as the people, we have to, and that's what I stress on my platform, is that we have to do our due diligence to inform ourselves and make an informed decision. Everything is out here on the internet. Just Google, who's my senator? Who's my mayor? Who's my city council? When are they up for re-election? Senators, you can see different bills they have passed. You can see their views on certain things. Like it's up to us to do our research, because we can't depend on media. We can't depend on CNN. We can't depend on Fox News, because a lot of times their message is going to be construed a certain way anyway. Right. So we have to do our own research to see who else is up for election, when they are up for election, what have they done for us since they have been in that seat. So yeah, it's really up to us to do our research, because we can't depend on the media to inform us of every race that is going on across the country.
That is so good. And if there's more questions in the audience, I want you to go ahead and put those in the box, because we're going to try to get to as many as we possibly can. So our whole thing tonight is securing the vote. So we know that the election is less than a month away. Yes, it's really close. So how can we secure the vote? We have the mail-in ballots here. We have, voting in person. Like walk us through what you think a safe way is to cast our votes this year.
So I'm against mail-in ballots. At the beginning of the year, like once the coronavirus broke out, you had the U.S. Postal Inspector literally taking away blue mailboxes on the street as a form of voter suppression. Each state has their own different rules about mail-in. Like, for example, I heard on the radio one state is requiring 3 stamps on the envelope. It's just, I'm nervous about mailing in. So my suggestion would be, if you want to do an absentee ballot, you can vote early by absentee, but physically turn it in at the courthouse, at your local courthouse, your county courthouse. And you're going to go down, or for us in Jefferson County, we go to the clerk's office, because the clerk of the court is actually in charge of the absentee ballot. So I would say Melanie and me, I'm going to be in line on November 3rd. I just love going physically. I just love doing it. But yeah, if you want to vote early, and absentee ballot, they have approved COVID-19 as an excuse to vote by absentee. So you're perfectly fine. Everyone can vote by absentee. I recommend to vote in person with the absentee ballot, because it's just so much, like Donald Trump has already been putting out, like, oh, it's gonna be voter fraud with all this mail-in. Like, I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
We actually, I'm talking about voting. Someone was talking, they just asked, if I was registered to vote for Obama, does that mean I can still vote this year, or would I have to re-register in my state?
So you need to check the status of whether or not you're still a registered voter. So for Alabama, we go to alabamavotes.gov, but I think you can go to wevote.gov, and you can check on your status as a registered voter. And you need to do that as soon as possible, because I know the deadline for registration to vote is coming up really soon in Alabama. I think it has passed in certain states. I know in Tennessee, the deadline to register to vote has already passed. So you need to check your status on whether or not you are still a registered voter, and then check your polling precinct. All of the information is online. Check to see if you're a registered voter. If not, register to vote, and then they'll tell you where to go to register to vote. Yes, wevote.gov.
Okay. What's the importance of the polling precinct?
That's specifically like that's the only place you can vote. If you don't vote absentee and go to the courthouse, if you're voting on actual election day on November 3rd, it's a designated place for you to go. Like, I can't just pick a random polling precinct. I have to go specifically where my Secretary of State here in Alabama, and everybody's different Secretary of State in their state, tells them where they have to go. And see, they changed my polling precinct. So, and that's another thing. I just voted in the runoff election in Alabama in July. And I've been staying at this home for about 4 years now, and I've been voting at the same place, which I can literally almost walk to where I vote. Now it's further away. So that's something that you want to look at too. Don't just assume wherever you voted for in the primary, that's where you voted for in the general election, because that's not the case for me. I'm voting at a totally different place. So you want to check where your polling precinct is, and just make sure, because you may have people running straight from work trying to get in at 7:00 before the polling place closed, and they say, oh, you don't vote here no more. So now you're trying to scurry, trying to figure out where to go. So before November 3rd, you just want to make sure everything is in place. Where's my polling place? How far away is it? Go check it out. I'm gonna drive there before. So, okay, this is where I vote now. Okay, I just want to make
seriously, you got to do all of that. So for those who watching, she just gave us a really good breakdown. She said, okay, if you cannot vote the day of, go to your courthouse and turn it in person. I know COVID is out there. Maybe you want to find a time of day where it's not so busy so that you can stay protected. Also, you want to find your polling precinct. So go ahead and look that up. If you're coming from work, if you're going before work, if you're going before you drop the kids off, how far is it? Is there parking? Like, all of these are really, really important. Wevote.gov is the website that she mentioned. Check if you're registered. So these are things, guys, that we need to do because they're trying to trip us up. We have a question from the audience. Can you share how important the millennial vote is to the election? Let's talk about millennials.
I'm a millennial. Christian's a millennial. I'm sure, like, we can chat. Like, if our generation showed up in droves, we could literally take over. It is vital. It's so important. And it's so, I wonder why candidates do not do a better job in trying to get the millennial vote. I don't know whether or not they don't have millennials on their team, on their campaign team, to tell them what attracts us, because they don't do Trump or buying. I mean, they don't do a good job in trying to secure the vote. But our vote, I cannot stress enough, is so important because we are the generation that we're not too young to not know, like, the Bill Clinton era and all of it. And we're not too old to understand where we have the opportunity, the chance to go. Like, we're literally the next generation that can be the senators, the next generation that's going to run for this, the next generation that's going to take over this. So the millennial vote is vital. It can make or break a candidate. And we as millennials, like I said, we have to get involved because these decisions, we're still young. I'm just 30 years old. The decisions that these people are making, they will affect me, my husband, my child, probably my child's child. So I'm very concerned on what these people are doing in this country because it's going to affect an entire generation.
That's really good. So if you are a millennial, I want you to know that your vote matters. And if you want to stay connected to a group of people that's going to really motivate you, encourage you, K1 is going to send out that tiny URL so that you can fill out the Connect card. So I love your platform, Shantae, because you talk about everything and there is no limitations to what you discuss. Right. But we live in this culture of protecting our peace, and we just want to stay in our bubbles, and we're cutting everybody off, so we're like in this cut culture. But talk about the importance of staying in the know. I know it is overwhelming sometimes, I know watching the news, but talk about why it is important for us to know what's going on, to watch the news, to even get on social media from time to time, because decisions are being made and we don't even know what's going on. So let's talk about, still protecting our peace, but also meeting God where he is out in the streets in the world of news.
Right. Oh, that's so good, Christian. Of course, I'm all about protecting my peace. I mean, when you think about what I do for a living, like I literally, like, not only it's the difference between seeing a headline about a crime and actually going to work and actually working on this crime, seeing the photos, I mean, it can be a lot. But if you are not in the know, that means that you're going to easily believe a narrative that someone gives you. And I think that's the problem sometimes with millennials, with younger people, because we aren't necessarily in the know. It's so easy for people like Trump to just spew something out, and then you're like, oh, what is this? Because we're ignorant. We don't know about these certain things. So I think it's so important for us to have that balance, for sure, like I said, because I mean, sometimes I have to come home and just cut everything off.
Absolutely.
I don't want to get on the news. I don't want to watch CNN. I don't want to look at, like, I just want to watch something funny, or I just want to turn on Chandler Moore and just Chandler Moore. You do have to cut it off, but you have to stay informed. Absolutely. Because if you do not have the knowledge, other people are going to easily feed something to you, and you're going to believe it because that's all you're being fed. So you have to feed yourself.
Right. That is so good. If you are watching and you have a question, I want you to go ahead and type it in. We want to get to as many questions as possible tonight. This is so good, Shantae. So I have a quote that you have from Instagram. You said, we're talking about sports. Well, I know the millennials are in the sports. So you talk about sports, which is a social issue in our world right now. You said entire sports teams are protesting non-violently, and people are still complaining. So it's not the looting and the rioting they have a problem with. It's the fact that people are speaking up. There is a threat in our society with speaking up. Talk about how, even in our truth, we should be unafraid. How we're supposed to stand up to injustices, maybe that boss or maybe a family member, to talk about what it means to speak up in 2020.
Let me tell you, if you don't speak up, you're gonna get ran over. I mean, that's as simple as I can say it. I'll give an example. Like last night, Senator Kamala Harris, she had to speak up and say, "Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking." because you had this male that was continually to cut her off. And ironically enough, I experienced that in the courtroom this past Tuesday. I had a white older male as a defense attorney, and we were having a preliminary hearing. And basically, it's just like, it's not a trial, but I'm putting on the facts to show how I have enough to put on trial. And oh, hey, Chris, I didn't know that's my brother. Yeah, so I was having this hearing in court, and this white older gentleman, he just kept interrupting me, just like Pence, just kept like, just time I say something, he just disregard me. And it got to the point where I literally had to look over and say, Mr. Such and Such, please do not interrupt me. Do not do that. Allow me to finish. Wow. So you do not speak up for yourself, you are going to get ran over. Period. You have to. And they're going to accept it as the status quo. If we didn't listen, if no one had said anything about a Breonna Taylor, we wouldn't even know it was a Breonna Taylor. We wouldn't have not even known.
Wow.
It would not have spoken up. So, I mean, we have to speak up. How can we legally protest in America? We do it. That's the thing. What the protests are legal, but we have the leader of the free world criminalizing us when we protest. But when you have his supporters that show up at the governor's mansion with guns and threatening her, it's okay. When you have his supporters back in 2017 walking around with burning tiki torches, throwing them at police officers, saying that what y'all can't take our power, or something they were saying, they were called very fine people.
Very fine.
Very fine people. So we protest legally all day, every day, but it's the president that criminalizes it.
Wow. Once again, guys, this is why we have to get out and vote November 3rd. Okay. I want to go back to what you were just talking about, being an African-American woman in a world dominated of men, and how you have to stand up for yourself. There's a question here that talks about the elections and the debates that we've been watching. Can you share your thoughts as a lawyer, as a woman of color? Share your thoughts on what you're seeing in our election. So you can talk about the presidential, the vice presidential election. Like, what are some things that you want to point out from those?
I think in both, whether it's the presidential or the vice presidential debate, when you looked at both debates, what we saw was Trump and his administration, which is Pence, just disregarding the rules, not following the rules, not answering questions, just doing what they want to do. And I think it becomes right now, I feel like Biden and Harris, what I want them to do is just not go. I mean, I guess they still have to be politically correct, but I'm like, we have to fight fire with fire at this point. Like, we can't just keep smiling. Like you said, it's time for us to start speaking up. So what I would want, and I know Kamala, being a Black woman, being, like I said, being like how I am, I'm an attorney. Every time we try to say something, we're called aggressive, or we're an angry Black woman, or oh my God, I can't believe she's so spicy. So I know when she was debating last night, I know that was in the back of her head, always trying to walk this tightrope. Even with women, period, in the courtroom, I can't, certain things that my coworkers do, male coworkers, I'm like, I could have never done it. Like,
wow.
I know I could have done it.
It's true, because I heard someone, I was watching like the lives after the debate, and there was a woman who called in who said she was so direct, and she just had so much pride. And then the moderator said, well, if she was a male, do you think it would have been perceived the same way? And she paused and she said, no, I think there's gender bias. So what you're saying is true. So not only, is she talking about her sex, but also the color of her skin. So I know there's people watching right now who are African American, who are young, who feel as if they're counted out. Every time we look on the news, it's just so much. But talk about the hope, right? So this is a faith series. We believe in the foundations of God. We believe that God is still sitting on the throne. So talk about hope. You're in the court system. You're seeing the laws. You're still fighting on behalf of the people. What does God have to say in all of this? And how are you waking up every day fulfilling your purpose?
Right. And that's what I think I'm doing. I definitely think that I am fulfilling my purpose that God has planned for me. And if we are to go to Hebrews 11:1, and it defines what faith is, and it says, faith now is the substance of things hoped for the evidence of things not seen. So even if you look around yourself and you don't like what you see right now, that's literally the epitome of faith, to keep going until you see what you want to see.
Exactly.
You have to keep voting until you see who you want to see in office. We can't think that things are going to change if we still have the same people governing us, if we have the same people that are leading us, if we have the same people that are sitting up in Washington making decisions for us. We have to go out to the polls. We have to have faith enough in the system. Hey, if I continue to vote, then I will vote for a candidate that will do things on my behalf. And let's say we can put our own candidate up. A lot of times we have to know how to support one another. When I ran for judge, I had people support me, but to be honest, I had people that looked like me that were hating on me. So, we have to come together as well and support one another, because one thing I do like about Republicans is that they stick together. They stick together.
That is so true. That is so true. And I love how you talk about, Hebrews, because like you said, faith without works is dead. And so if you're watching and you feel like your vote doesn't matter, if you feel like you won't see change in your lifetime, just continue to have faith. All you need is faith the size of a mustard seed. Y'all. You know how small it is? Do your part. And when we collectively do our part, change will come. Change will come. Well, this has been so good. I know we are almost out of time. We're going to drop the connect card once more for those who want to get connected with First Baptist Church of Vienna, learn more about their millennial ministry. What is one parting word you want to say to the audience as we talk about securing the vote?
That's a good question.
So much.
So much. I would just say, if it's anything that you currently do not like with what's going on with your family, whether it's COVID-19, whether it's the criminal justice system, whether it's the social injustices that we are dealing with as Black people, go to the polls and vote, because 99.5 won't do. Wow. We can't protest. We can't just make posts. We can't just post stuff on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and think that's enough, because that's like running all the way almost to score a touchdown and then you stop right there. Like we have to actually step over that line, and stepping over that line is going and casting your vote, because our vote is the most powerful tool that we have. These people, Trump can't do what he's doing if he weren't our president. Wow. These senators can't do what they're doing if they weren't our senators. These judges can't do what they're doing if they weren't our judges. But they become these people because they are voted in. So if we don't like what they're doing, vote them out.
Vote them out. Vote them out. I think we're going to drop the mic right there. Vote out. Okay. So when we get off this live, guys, we are going to see if we're registered. We're going to see our voting precincts. If you're mailing in your vote, you are taking it to the courthouse. You're going to, what was it, wevote.org? Was that the website?
I think that's what it is. I know Alabama is alabamavotes.gov, but I know it's like general one where no matter where you live in the United States, you can go.
Go there. Okay. Well, this has been so phenomenal. Thank you so much to K1 for hosting us tonight. Thank you so much to Shante Brown. We have her social media. She's actually about to go live on her platform in about 15 minutes. So briefly, tell us, where can we find you?
Yes, so you can find me on Facebook. The Facebook page, you can either add it, the Lowdown with Shante Brown, or the Facebook page is called Be Down with Shante Brown. Either one of those will take you directly to the page. Like and follow the page. I go live every Thursday at 8 p.m. my time, 9 p.m. Virginia, DC time. I go live every 8 p.m. I talk about every topic that's currently going on right now, from the Breonna Taylor case, from the bullets in our back when I was talking about Jacob Blake case, Supreme Court justices, voter suppression. I mean, I go over it all. Tonight specifically, I will be talking about the presidential debate and the vice presidential debate, and breaking those two debates down tonight.
Oh, she about to break it down. Be Down with Shante Brown. Yes, I know you got to go, so you can go ahead and log out. And in 15 minutes, y'all can go to her page. So go on now. I just have a few shout outs. Bye, Shante. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Yes. So Pastor Walton wanted to highlight our some millennial leaders of his church. We want to give a shout out to Chanel Williams, to Victoria Hairston, and to Antipus Roar. Thank you so much to all of the work that you are doing as a millennial leader. Next week, we'll be live again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to be talking about faith, social justice, and finances. So if you want to talk about money and faith, you want to join us next week, we will have Matt Aaron on. So I hope and pray that this was a wonderful blessing for you. See you next week, same time, same place.